so I put Felix here.
Okay, hi.
Maybe recording. All right.
Are we starting now?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Kim Cooper. I'm a multidisciplinary artist from the United States, specifically New York City, by way of North Carolina now. I'm a lawyer, but most importantly, I'm a mother, and that surpasses even being a painter. So I just want to say that I love Lisbon, Portugal. I really see myself at some point living here. This is the land of the 7 hills, right? Am I correct? Okay, and it really is. So thank you for joining me today, and I would like to thank Jose and Jima and Elizabeth for helping me with everything that's been going on. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
In Zeratan Art Gallery, I've been very humbled by this residency, and I think my ancestors helped me create all these works that you see. I did them right here in the studio, banging on the walls at 6 o'clock in the morning, and just whenever I was inspired, I went to different thrift stores to get different objects to put on my paintings. Some of the wood that you're going to see, the shells, came from different stores in downtown Lisbon. The wood came from the botanical gardens. So a lot of these things that you see on the paintings were sourced here in Lisbon. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. Actually, we're going to go around in a circle. So this is the abstract of the doctrine of discovery. So I went to a thrift store and I was able to get some stamps of what happened when the colonizers came to different lands in West Africa. Some of these are stamps and some of these are pictures of the Portuguese soldiers. So that is from a thrift store here in Lisbon. And then as we move on, I'm going to read the Doctrine of Discovery. So the bull is a decree. It was really something that was legally attached to their document, and it looked like a bull, okay, to legitimize the document. So the bull stated that any land not inhabited by Christians was available to be discovered, quote unquote, claimed and exploited by Christian rulers and declared by the Catholic faith and the Catholic religion to be exalted and be everywhere, increased and spread, that the health of souls be cared for, and that barbaric nations be overthrown and brought to the faith itself, the Christian faith. This doctrine of discovery became the basis of all European claims in the Americas, as well as the foundation of the United States of America Western expansion. So it's been around for 500 years. But in May 23rd, 2023, the Vatican renounced the doctrine of discovery, but that just happened last year, so colonization has really taken over. So basically, this is my next painting, or this fabric is really from Ghana because I've been to Africa on several occasions, so this is authentic Ghanaian fabric. And so I went to different thrift stores up the street and in downtown Lisbon, and I wanted this painting to say basically it's walk into the slave castle to be baptized in the Catholic faith. Okay, so here you have the shells where the West Africans are leaving their native homeland behind. And you can lift it up and look at it. And then here's a Portuguese soldier, and they used to wear yokes around their neck and parade the Africans naked through the villages of Africa to get to the slave castles. So you can lift it up if you want to, or keep it like this. This veil represents the gloom and doom. That's why I made it black, because they're leaving their homeland, never to be seen again. And then this is what they're going to convert the Africans to the Catholic religion. And so this says here that the doctrine of discovery in Africa. So they divided up doctrines in different decrees, and they had different subtitles for their doctrines. So this decree or bull allowed Europeans in the 15th and 16th century to actively encourage the subjugation of indigenous nations and the enslavement of African people through expansion over, again, discovered lands, even though Africans and indigenous people were already on the lands. Possession of non-Christian lands would be justified along with the enslavement, torture, and death of native non-Christian pagans or barbarians and Africans who were unclothed. In Portugal, the first bull was issued in 1452, as they were the first to enslave Africans. So even before Christopher Columbus, the Portuguese went to Africa, and they were already bringing back West Africans, as you probably know the story. Okay, over here, this is what the doctrine of discovery actually looked like. This is in 1493. This is a year after Christopher Columbus went to discover new lands, but he did it to cultivate, to bring Spain more land and more gold and more silver. He needed legal permission to go back. He needed monies to continue his travels and to abolish the livelihoods of African and indigenous people. And also, a lot of them were wiped out by disease, too. So this is what happened in 1949 when Spain said, yeah, the Catholic Church, through Jesus Christ, is giving you full authority to go back to these lands and exploit them. So this particular painting came to me here actually in a dream, and it was like she didn't get her flowers while she was alive, but her descendants are butterflies. So I guess this particular enslaved woman is being punished because she was eating the fruit or vegetables or doing something that her master didn't want her to do. So normally they would really severely punish Africans, and in this particular case they put a metal covering or helmet over part of her face, so she would still have to get back out in the fields and do whatever she was told to do, but this time she was being punished. So that's what this, and the flowers that I put here are to, thank her for all her suffering. Because of her, I'm a lawyer. Because of her, I was able to get my master's. Because of her, I was able to live freely, based on everything that my ancestors went through. Because of the suffering they went through, I'm able to prosper. And then this last one, here is the doctrine of lies. And this is one of the first paintings I actually started when I first came here, but like every couple of days I would add on to it. So this is wood from the botanical garden that I think is absolutely gorgeous and very peaceful. And these leaves are on the sidewalk from the street going up the hill past the Parliament. And all these are from the Parliament, from the botanical garden. And these shells are from a store that I found downtown, luckily, because I needed shells. So again, you see here enslaved Africans. And this is basically, I put different fabric on them because they're saying goodbye to their spiritual culture, their identity as Africans, and not really knowing what they're getting themselves into. I'm sure they didn't think it was going to be as brutal as it was, but again, they have yokes around their neck, and you can see that they were again paraded naked. They were not covered up, and this particular enslaved is pregnant. So that was their destiny in that particular time, and again, they're going to be baptized in the Catholic religion. Here you see a young lady, and she's praying to Jesus Christ. And again, this is the epitome of, what I think the European culture wanted indigenous people and African people to, want to become. And that was their standard of beauty, so that's why I put that up there. So that's that picture. And so this was basically called the Age of Christian Discovery. So the doctrine of Christian discovery is a worldwide genocidal view that a certain group of people, primarily Western Christendom, base their religious identity, the Catholic Church, to morally sanction with the support of international law. And as a lawyer, this is important because this had to be approved by the government before they could do this. To invade and colonize the lands of non-Christian peoples, to dominate them, to take possessions and resources, enslave, torture, and kill them. And this is really the playbook that the United States and most European countries have been utilizing for the last 500 years. And I think it's just phenomenal that it started in the 1400s and it just kept on, just tumbling into what it is now. This ideology was perpetuated in Portugal, Spain, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, United States of America, and the UK. So this is the playbook right here, the doctrine of discovery. And I mean, people put different names into it. The political system in the United States is calling it Project 2025. But basically, a lot of the fundamentals are based on the doctrine of Christian discovery. And so if you don't know your history, you wouldn't know that. Okay, so moving on to this. So this is more freeing to me. It's all the sacrifices that people of color have gone through, specifically African Americans, since I'm African American. Now we get a chance to express ourselves without, living in the Jim Crow era or having to actually leave the United States and go to Europe to express our creativity. So this was just a play on we can dance, we can laugh, we can, be who we were meant to be, utilizing our spiritual identity and not be oppressed, even though, quote unquote, we still are being oppressed. And this painting is called Expressions of Color. I'm on TikTok if anybody wants to follow me, but this got the most views of any painting that I ever had in any of my paintings. It got over 9,000 views. I don't know why people like it so much, but they do.
Because it's good.
Oh, thank you. So that's Expressions of Color. And so then we come here, and basically after learning about this, and I was really surprised because I went on different tours when I first got here, and a lot of Portuguese really know about the doctrine of discovery. It's not like they don't know. I mean, they don't know what to do about it. It's not like they don't want to celebrate what Africans have done in Portugal. It's just that the government really won't allow them to have landmarks that said, well, the enslaved built, the majority of Portugal. They just, they talk about the Moor castle, but really, the enslaved built almost everything in Portugal, and, they should be celebrated. A lot of the Portuguese men and women I talk to, we know, you have a big job ahead of you trying to, express what's going on, but it's not that we don't know about the doctrine of discovery, and we're with you, and, we're sorry it happened. I mean, we didn't do it, but what I'm trying to say. So then when you get to this mirror, you're supposed to look at it and you say, well, after I've learned a little bit about the doctrine of discovery, who am I now? How did that change me? Did it change me at all? I mean, I knew some of it, or what can I do in the future? Because I know you've gone through a lot of, as collectively as people, with the fascist government that, was just overthrown not that long ago. So how does that change you? What type of person does that make you feel like, just to keep on fighting for your individual rights, consistently to make sure that they stay in place? And if this is true, who are you and why are you that person? And are you going to constantly evolve and try to become politically motivated? Because freedom isn't free. You have to fight for your freedom. That's one thing that I've learned as an advocate, as a lawyer in the United States. I still come home and I don't know if my son and daughter are going to come home because they're black, because of their color of their skin. So to end this, I would like to end it by saying that we still fear for our lives. I hate to say that in 2024, but we do. And I'm going to read the names of the Afro-Americans who have died by the hands of police officers exerting their racist tactics toward people of color in the United States. So, let me get it. So these were their last words before they died. Sonia Macy, who just died 2 weeks ago, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. She knew evil was in her house. She knew probably that the police officer was going to kill her, but there was nothing she could do. She's a very vulnerable 36-year-old Afro-American woman that left behind 2 children. Number 2, George Floyd. I'm sure that all of you have heard about George Floyd. And the last words he said while he was being knocked around in the police car was, "I can't breathe." Eric Gardner, he said he was a young man in New York City, and he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and a cop put his knee on his neck, and he said, "I can't breathe." Michael Brown, I think he was in Michigan. "I don't have a gun. Stop shooting at me." Number 5, Philando Castillo. I wasn't reaching for it. He was just going home, and his muffler was dragging on the floor, and the police officer stopped him, and he asked him if he had a gun, and he said, "I do. It's in the glove compartment. I'm reaching for my gun," and the police officer blew his head off, and he said, "I wasn't reaching for it." That was the last thing he said. In other words, he wasn't going to do anything. Number 6, Breonna Taylor. She was a young black woman, and the police officers got the wrong apartment, and they busted down her door, and they went into her bedroom and they shot her. "Why did you shoot me?" was the last thing she said. 7, Freddie Gray. He was in the back in a police car. His hands were handcuffed and, in an uncomfortable position. And he said, "I need a doctor." 8, Tamar Rice was a little 11-year-old, and he said, "It's not real." Number 9, Oscar Grant. "You shot me. I got a 4-year-old daughter." Laquan McDaniel, no audible last words. He was shot while walking away. And Elijah McClain, he said, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm just different. I'm just different. That's all. I'm so sorry. You don't have to do this stuff. I don't do any fighting. Why are you attacking me?" So these are just some of what we in America live with on a consistent basis. This is why I'm applying for a D7 visa to come to Portugal and maybe perhaps make it my permanent home, when I retire, because I think that the Portuguese people are so welcoming, you're so loving, and just thank you for being you and for welcoming all these foreigners that are coming into your country, jacking up the rent prices and doing whatever they're doing. But everyone that I've encountered, for the most part, has been just wonderful. And thank you again for welcoming me. And I'd like to say to Kathy, she's been such a wonderful, supportive roommate, and we've gone through a lot together, and I hope we are friends and stay in contact, even though she's 20 years younger than I am. She's a fantastic writer, and we've kept motivating each other and saying positive words over each other, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful experience. And again, thank you very much for welcoming me to your country.
Anyone has any questions?
You want to look at my painting?
I have a reflection, it's not a question, but I really love seeing all of the doctrines and the declarations written, handwritten, and using raw materials. It's a really nice contrast from how we see them as these really formal documents, and it's just this reminder that, oh yeah, of course, people just made it up, and they tried to make something law, and really it was just yeah, I don't know, just something about that contrast was really impactful.
Well, thank you. That's what my curators were saying. And I was like, "Oh no, I want the typewritten version." They were like, "No, we like it. It goes with the paintings." But, thank you for encouraging me to keep this up. And thank you. I'm glad that it was very clear cut for you to understand the doctrine of discovery. Did you know about it before?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know about it
Okay.
before, yeah. So yeah, it's good to see it in this way, not just see it as like this formal document that still exists, you know. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, it doesn't exist anymore as
Well,
of.
no, but like they still have like the
Yeah.
document. It's still like this. You know.
But interesting enough, because there is a bull, that's like a seal that you put on the document. The Vatican did not get rid of the bull, which is kind of different from the degree. It's like when you seal a legal document.
Yeah.
So since they didn't really get rid of it, actually the document is still in force because they have to renounce the bull along with the document of discovery. And as a lawyer, I caught that you know, you still have all these bulls, and they know that, but they're not doing anything about it. So, anyone?
The bull, is it like the wax seal?
Yeah, it's a wax seal, but it's in the shape of a bull.
Right.
So under every document of discovery, they had to stamp it to make it official. So if you don't renounce the bull, then the document is still in effect. On the down low, but yeah. Anybody have any questions?
I wanted to say that it was such an interesting time working with you because you're such a prolific creator. You were such a powerhouse, and everyone here can see how much and how hard you've worked all this time. And that was really interesting to see. Every every week we would meet, there was something to share, and I was astounded by how your work ethic and your dedication to the theme, which is really important. And it really felt like you were taking from your ancestors and taking their energy and putting that into canvas. And I think that symbiosis is really shown. I think every canvas is really strong, and you can stand by each piece and look at it, and there are symbols. And as we walked with you, it was you mentioned some of them, but there is layers upon layers of meaning that you put into your canvases, for which I can just applaud you for your work.
Thank you so much. That's such a compliment, and that's what I want my work that people are moved by what they see. And even if I didn't go from painting to painting, that you would understand what is going on in the painting no matter what. Because I think in order to have a wonderful future, you have to understand your past, and you have to acknowledge it and say, this is what we're going to do different with our lives. And if you don't know about your past, then you're not going to be able to move on. And I think I very much believe in spiritual forces, you know, I believe in ghosts and aliens and all of that. You know, there's a supernatural component to each of our lives, and I think that how we handle knowing about the past, you know, it brings peace to our ancestors, and you know, it brings peace to your individual path, your individual walk.
I have a question. I mean, first and foremost, I should probably echo everything that Alvietta said about, you know, your work ethic and your creativity, and I think there's such boldness and passion in all of these works, which I think is so phenomenal. My question is that you have such a creative way of integrating so many different materials, and I'm wondering how you go about doing that. Do you seek out some materials deliberately, or do you kind of wander around and kind of get inspired by things? How do you integrate them into your work in such a cohesive manner?
Well, first of all, I pray before I even started painting, because I have to be led to, because sometimes all this started from nothing. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I pray, and then as I'm building on the painting, I, you know, was walking around Lisbon and just was drawn to certain thrift stores or vintage stores, not knowing what I was going to find there. And then I would find, oh, okay, so that's Jesus Christ. I need that over there. And of course, I needed like coins and euros to do it. So I would run to the ATM to make sure I had enough money, because a lot of shops only take euros and not credit cards. I mean, thrift stores. But basically, and then I would wake up sometimes at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and I said, oh, you know what? This painting needs like a piece of wood, or pearls on it, or I ran into a thrift store and they were selling this, and so I said, that's going to work in the painting. So a lot of times I really don't know exactly what I'm going to put in a painting, and I have to stand away from it to see how everything's going to work together. But for the most part, the only rhyme or reason that I would say is the colors. Like, I came with a specific set of colors, and the canvas came from home. So once I spray painted the canvas, then I just take it from there. But no, I don't really know, and a lot of times I add on. Even when I think it's finished, I'm still adding on to, the painting. So especially this one, The Doctrine of Lies, that was finished the day before the art exhibit, because I was still adding on to the painting. Yeah.
I wanted to ask kind of about this as well, like the form, because what I'm noticing here, I don't know if this is an older collection.
Yes.
I'm just really noticing the contrast of the form, like from painting into using like different materials, and I'm intrigued by that like transition, like like what kind of led to that process, and do you still also engage in like?
Yeah, I think it's very important to use found materials. I've always kind of used that in all my artwork ever since I started painting, and that was in middle school. And even though I went out of my life and did other things, I've always been painting, and I've always used found materials because I've traveled all over the world. So I always try to use whatever the ancestors are directed in my path, or whether, it could be something politically happening in the United States that I try to, but yeah. To answer your question, I've always used found materials because I think the texture of the canvas makes the viewer connect more with what's going on, and so yeah.
Thank you again.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Obrigada. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you. Woo. Good job.